Welcome to the second part in my two-part series on our education, our future, our business. The first one looked at the challenges that we face currently with COVID-19. And the second one looks at the tools that we have to overcome those challenges. I want to apologize, first of all, for the lighting. I hope you can see me okay. I am actually recording this at night. And the reason for that is that my flatmate is a key worker. He works with the elderly. And he's been working, I think he's worked 6 days straight now. He has a day off, and he works 12-hour shifts every day. He has a day off today. And all of my work is flexible. I can record at night, for example, when he's in bed. Whereas his work is very, very time sensitive. He's on the front line. I'm not. So I decided to let him have use of his kitchen today during the day. And then I thought I would do my work, my taped work at night. So here we are. I'm going to share my screen right here. There we go. Just going into slideshow mode. Wonderful. So basically, the focus of this presentation, just like the last one, is to look at how we free ourselves to learn from anywhere. And also how that is potentially our part in the war on COVID-19. So just to review a little bit for those that didn't get the chance to watch the first video, we are indeed under invisible alien enemy attack. This virus is invisible. It is alien by all reports. It was not human in its origin. It has another origin than human. It is clearly an enemy in that it is killing us, and it's clearly attacked us. This invisible alien enemy actually uses us as its assassins. It uses our bodies to kill those we come in contact with. And so it's an awful attack. It's probably the worst attack that we've seen since World War II, making this virus almost on a par with Hitler. But we do know something from that. We know that when terrible things happen to us, the best also comes out of us. And we talked last time about how the need to break the Enigma code to stop Hitler, the only way to do that ultimately was for Alan Turing and his team to invent modern computing, which is the basis of all of the tools that we're talking about today. They all come from that invention of modern computing that came directly out of World War II. It's what we had to do to win. So we make things happen when we persevere. And you can join the fight on COVID-19, even in lockdown. We can open our virtual business of the future, our education, in a way that nothing can close it again. So I asked everybody at the end of last video to take this pledge. And our pledge for our education, which is our business of the future, is this: requiring no permission, but the initiative to make the best of our current situation, we, students, parents, and teachers, declare that our business of the future, our education, is open for business, and that no threat, including COVID-19, will close it again. So that is the pledge that I asked everyone to take. We then looked briefly, and I asked students what you see when you see this picture. And I'm sure that what you see is probably lots of fun. It's vastly more entertaining than what I see. You probably see a gaming system, a console, a way to have fun communications with your friends, maybe a little bit of Facebook, those kinds of things. What I see is a business tool. And I have only ever seen these things as business tools since they appeared on my desk back in 1986. And so my deal with you is this: if you will let me teach you a few things about how to use this as a remote learning business tool in your business of the future, in your education, then I'll be more than happy at some point, once we've done that, for you to show me a video game or two that I could play on these machines. But I will warn you, my hand-eye coordination is terrible because I didn't grow up doing it. All right, so our tools must meet certain criteria in this virtual business of the future, our education. Our tools must allow us to learn from home, school, or when traveling. COVID-19 was able to cut off our education pretty much because we did not leave that school building ready to learn from home. And so we're having to try to set it up ourselves in one way or another. And many of the tools I'm showing you were not ready to go when we launched them. They were things that were planned for next year, not necessarily things that were ready for implementation, which is one of the reasons why they've been a bit challenging to implement. So the files we access must be the same wherever we are. So we must be able to get to our school files from home, from school, wherever they are, wherever our work is, it needs to be saved to that school file. Our processes, how we use these tools, should be consistent wherever we are. So whether we're using the tool at home or in the classroom or traveling, we should use it in a consistent manner. And we should use our tools to bring out the strengths of each environment and migrate those strengths to the other environment wherever possible, so that we get the best learning experience wherever we are. So even if we end up going back into the school building in staggered shifts, socially distanced, it shouldn't separate anyone from their education. And that's our challenge. Our tools should help us communicate when needed and in the most effective manner, and to receive the information that we need. And our tools should help us to understand each other, our subjects, whichever subject that is, business or any other subject, and the world around us better. So obviously, there are some minimum requirements in order to be able to get access to these tools. And these are a reasonably recent smart device and a reasonably fast and reliable internet connection. And I'll repeat what I said last time. I am thrilled to be from St. Leonard's. I was born in Buchanan Hospital many, many years ago. And my education has afforded me a lifetime of privilege. I've been able to go where I want to go, do what I want to do. But I'm from St. Leonard's, and I recognize that we are a very diverse community here. St. Leonard's Academy has everyone from millionaires' kids to students who are from an environment where money is incredibly scarce. And our differences, those massive differences, can become strengths as we learn together. We learn more from people that are different than us than we do from those that are just like us. But that also means that some people will find that it's very easy to get a smart device and a fast internet connection, and others won't. And for those who are finding it difficult, I want to see what I can do to help, either with the requirements of what I'm asking you to do, find another way to get them to you, find another way for you to get into business, or liaise with the school directly and see if there's anything that they can do. So if what I'm saying here sounds great, but you just don't know how you're going to be able to get access, either contact me directly at this email or have your parent or guardian get in touch. So I want to talk about work environments and tools just for a moment, just to make a very brief observation. We, there are very, very different sets of tools for two different types of environments in the workplace. We have one particular type of environment, but there's another environment completely to this one. And I look at these as dividing up among goods and services. Just as we talked about, there are two different types of product. One is a good, very tangible item, and a service is intangible because it's an action that you're doing for someone. So likewise, goods production environments, industrial manufacturing goods production environments generally have as their primary tools some form of factory equipment. You must be, in that case, on site, you must be trained, and you must be supervised when using those tools. That's not the type of tools that we're talking about. And the focus of using those tools is, as it must be, on health and safety. That we're always very cautious when working around large equipment. So that's one type of environment, the industrial manufacturing goods production environment. And then there's another type of environment that we are a part of, and that is your office virtual service delivery environment. We said last time that the business we're looking to set up is a service. Our education is a service. It's a service to us, and then it's a service that we pass on to an employer that's fortunate enough to secure our services. And the primary equipment of the office virtual service delivery environment is IT equipment. And it can be anywhere you can connect to use it, anywhere at all that you can connect to use it. And the focus of the office virtual service delivery environment, not that safety isn't important to us, it is, but our primary focus is on communication. And I put this quote down, and this is as much to me as to anyone else, and I'll tell you a funny story in a minute. In virtual environments, communication is crucial because our heads will fill in the gaps we don't understand, usually with incorrect information. So I had a situation like this. I meet with my faculty, which is the science faculty, once a week. And that's about it. And we meet virtually on Zoom, and I get some direction from the school. But other than that, I'm pretty much on my own here, liaising with you from home. Early in the week, Monday, I started to get reports from my year nines that that their business option was going away. And first I thought, well, that's a concern. I need to look at that, find out what's going on. But then secondly, I thought, well, wait a minute, what does this mean for me? What's happening? Is something happening with me that's not been told? Well, the fact of the matter, when I reached out and got some information and stopped my head from filling things in incorrectly, I realized that this had to do with the fact that my path to qualification as a non-qualified teacher, which was called assessment only path, went away as a result of COVID-19. It's no longer feasible. I was supposed to be doing it now, and I can't do it now because I can't get into the building, and I'm supposed to be observed teaching a class, and I can't teach a class in the building because no one's in there. So that path is gone, and I had to change paths. The path I changed to involves me needing to do next year what I was going to do at the end of this year, and it means that I can't possibly have a full class load. And that was one of the things that was a result of that situation. So instead of thinking that it's really, really bad, for me personally, I had to go get some more information and stop my head from filling in the gaps. And that is really, really important when you're working from home. It's easy to draw assumptions about the motives of others, which is just not correct. And the importance of communication is essential. So our tools and their purpose. There's one addition to the 6 tools I presented in the very first effort. This effort, I think you will find much easier to follow because it's been perfected by trial and error. And you might ask, why did I roll something out the first week we were closed that I knew was not 100% correct? Well, I was certain it wasn't. And the answer to that is, if I waited until something like this is 100% correct, it would be too late. And one of the things I learned in the service business is that when you're offering services that are not a matter of life and death, that it is okay to move when you're not 100% certain. In fact, it is better to move when you're not 100% certain instead of waiting until you are 100% certain. The reason for that is competition and time will pass you by getting to 100%. So I had a boss that said, move ahead when you're at 70%. As long as it's not life-threatening, when you're 70% certain, that's good enough. That combines certainty, which is above 50%, with your need to move fast in a fast-changing world. So I did send out some things, knowing that from that would come feedback from which we could perfect this list. So here it is. ClassCharts is obviously where you get your work. Outlook, more than email, it's got a calendar element and work tasks as well. It is your primary communication tool that combines communications with time management, your calendar, with task management, your work. And I'm going to show you how all 3 of those work together. Folder. Folder is all of your schoolwork, and it is critically important that all of your schoolwork is kept in folder and that we get anything you've been doing from home into that folder. And the reason for that is this. Should other things happen, or should, God forbid, this continue for a very long time, that folder is a record of what you've done in school. And if an exam has to be cancelled, as it was for year 11s, it can become very, very important for the type of mark you receive. So again, folder is your school file, and it's exactly what you see when you sit at the desk. It's just a different way to get to it, so you can get to it from home. Microsoft Online, this probably caused the most issues because I'd never worked with Microsoft Online, or I hadn't ever worked with Microsoft Online, and I couldn't see what you could see. So through the communication that's so essential in a virtual environment, we were able to figure some things out. I was able to figure out a way to recreate Microsoft Online on a stripped down old laptop that I have. And so now I have some screenshots of what I think you'll probably be seeing when you work with Microsoft Online, and we should hopefully be able to get all of those issues resolved in this presentation. iAchieve is your knowledge base for the course. It is all of the examinable content in one place. I do use it a lot to teach from that standpoint, and I want you to use it a lot to learn from as well. Showbie. Showbie is not something that business classes currently use, but it is something that I'm looking at using, and I put one assignment in there so we can get some practice. Showbie is a virtual teacher's assistant designed to make virtual learning fun and interactive. She even apparently marks tests and things like that and turns them right around to you without me even seeing them. So anyway, I had very, very good reviews on it from Science, and I thought I would put Showbie in our toolkit so that we can use it for things in the future. And lastly, your classes, your virtual classroom, they are currently pre-recorded. Hopefully they will go live at some point once teachers have had the appropriate level of training. And then the recordings are stored on YouTube, and every class has a playlist there. So you go listen to the videos in your class. So you can sample the videos in other classes if you want to. That's absolutely fine. Don't have anything to hide there. But that is that's your repository for your classes, your virtual classes. So I do need to make some acknowledgements because there was a lot of trial and error that that formed with putting this second attempt on tools together. So to the 90% of you who have already implemented 3 or more of these tools, thank you for beginning your virtual learning journey. I really appreciate that you've got 3 or more of these tools in place. How may I assist you with the other tools? What can I do to make that easier for you? Look at this presentation first, then let me know the ones you don't have access to, and let's work on making sure you get them. To the 20% or so who've implemented all 6 tools in the original presentation, despite some wildly inaccurate direction from me, thank you for your incredible perseverance and your feedback, which has really helped to shape this presentation, will make it much easier for those who haven't implemented yet. And to the 10% who haven't yet started, it isn't easy to set up your own business. I fully understand that, particularly not when times are scary. If you need better directions, then here they are. I've done my part to make sure you have better directions. But if you need something more, if something else is stopping you, whatever that something else is, please, please do let me know, and I will work diligently to help you with whatever might be stopping you from setting up these tools. Because I think, particularly going into year 11, as some of you are, the value of being able to work from home the same way you work in school and vice versa as you go into the revising you'll be doing. It's incredibly valuable for you to be able to do that, and I want you to have these tools in place. So again, I will be happy to try to eliminate any obstacles. There's one particular person. This person had more difficulty than anyone else, and this is not his fault at all. It was related much more to my directions and my lack of understanding of his setup than it was to anything he did wrong. But he tried so hard. We probably had about, I'd say, close to 100 emails back and forth to work through the tools. He probably thought he was bothering me. He wasn't at all. He was teaching me how to do it better next time. Initials RS, I won't say more than that for privacy reasons. Thank you so much. You are a true credit to what happens when you persevere. And I'm hoping all of the tools are now up and running for you. But if they're not, I'm here for you again. Okay, thanks so much. So ClassCharts, I'm not going to spend any real time on. Other than to say, if for whatever reason you've forgotten your code and you're embarrassed about it, don't be. Just contact me. Let me know you need your ClassCharts code. I'm not going to ask any questions. I'll pop it right around to you, and then you can catch up on your homework. Okay, but don't be embarrassed if you need something to get in there to get you your work. Don't guess at it. Let me get you your access code. So the next tool is Outlook. Now, Outlook is part of something called Microsoft 365. It used to be called Office 365, but Microsoft didn't like the idea of tying it to an office. So for very similar reasons that we no longer like the idea of tying education to a school building, Microsoft has officially changed the name to Microsoft 365. So most of you have access already, so I'm just going very, very quickly here. Email accounts should have been set up for all students, and they are based on your student login. First thing you do is you Google Microsoft 365, and then you click sign in. Let's assume, first of all, that this is already set up for you, ready for you to activate, which it is for most people. And your email address is your first initial, your last name, and your 2-digit year the cohort started St. Leonard's Academy. So for year 9s, that is 17, and for year 10s, that is 16. Okay. And then the password is the exact same one you used to log into your computer at school. That same one will work. Now, if you have forgotten that particular password, unfortunately, I'm not able to reset it at home like I was able to in the office. That is a security issue to allow that to be done remotely. And I can't do it remotely. But what I can do is I can open up a ticket and I can get you a temporary password following opening up that ticket that you can use. And within a day or so, we'll have that resolved. So again, don't let the fact that you might have forgotten your school password, believe me, I'm very friendly towards people who forget passwords because it's like every other day I've forgotten a password. So it is not a problem at all. Let's take care of it now. I'm not going to ask any questions about why it took so long or anything like that. We just want to take care of it so we can get you into business now. Okay, so you sign in, and then what happens is you get a screen that looks a lot like this, and this is what I couldn't see before because I have full desktop licenses, and that's a different way that Microsoft 365 works. And we'll go over some of the differences in a minute because some of you will have online, some of you will have desktop, and I'll be very open about how those look side by side. But I could not get to this screen from my laptop. So I was able to get this to happen by stripping my old desktop licenses off an old laptop. And then I was able to recreate exactly what you are seeing. So when you sign in to Microsoft 365, that is then when you get to select Outlook. Now, right now we're going to talk about Outlook. Then I'm going to talk about your school files. And then I'm going to talk about some software that also comes with the same licenses. But there's a reason why I have those in that order. And you'll understand as we go through, because there's a precise way that these tools need to be opened in order for them to work correctly. Great. So we will get to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint later. Now, school email. Very, very seriously, you've heard me say this in class, but I absolutely mean it when I say caution, electronic work record. The record of your work history begins now. And you may think you can delete things that you put in it that you really wish you hadn't. But those things that are deleted online very often aren't really deleted. We think they are because we can't see them anymore. So please, please be cautious with how you use this particular tool. couple of reasons why we want you to work with this tool. Number one, it's not appropriate on a regular basis for me to communicate with students through, certainly not on social media, I'm not allowed to at all, but even on personal email. And the reason for that is it's for both of our protection. Everything that we put in here is trackable. Is so if I'm not doing something right, then that can be spotted. If you're not, then that can be spotted and addressed. So that's the first reason. The second reason is it's good for you in school to learn how to use a work email, because there's a certain way that we use it. There's a certain etiquette. And the etiquette I've got here, I've got 10 pointers that will stand you in good stead for use in work email. So take a look at those. But it's also obviously something that becomes a part of your school record and then your work record ongoing. And I have said this in all of my classes. Remember that this is a particularly topical issue, because today, right now, I'm pretty certain, and I'm pretty certain that most people would agree with me, that we would have had a woman president of the United States today, the very first woman to be president of the United States, were it not for this issue. A big issue in the campaign that it still looked until the very end that Hillary Clinton was going to win was her use of work email, and the fact that she used some personal devices for emails to heads of state when she was Secretary of State, and then destroyed those devices. And that cloud hanging over her certainly would have made the difference that allowed Donald Trump to become president of the United States. So this is a key issue for us, how we use email. But I want you to see Outlook as something more than just email. It combines three things. It combines email, which is communications, basically. It combines communications with calendar, which is time management, basically. And it combines communications and time management with work or with tasks. So you've got those three items: communication, how you manage your time, and how you manage your work, all in the same tool, which makes it pretty powerful. And I think you'll find that even if you don't use it very much for business class, you will get a lot of value out of it for your other classes. So it's well worth looking at. When you open up the first page, you're opening up email, and you have the standard views are a summary view, then you have a preview of the specific emails, and then you have each email individually. Ultimately, as you get familiar with the tool, you can modify these views to whatever is most helpful for you. But that is how your email looks. Most of you have access, so I'm not going to spend much time on that. Calendar. If you go down to that bottom left-hand corner, you will see this grid right here. If you click on this symbol, it will open up your calendar. Now, the power of having your calendar and your communications linked together is this. You can be invited to a class, find out how to join that class. If it's virtual, you'll need an access path, and I can actually put the link on your invitation, which I'm doing for any classes that I want you to attend. Then you can discuss preparation for that class or follow-up from that class in email. You can also create anything that's due from you. I can create a task and I can send that to you, and more about that in a minute. But this has everything to do with time. Now, what happens at school, what used to happen to me, I'm assuming it happens to you as well, is nothing's due for a while, and then all of a sudden everything is due all at once. And you may wonder, did your teachers conspire to give you an extra hard time? No, they didn't. That is, I'm afraid, just how life works. Working life is always a matter of dealing with what to do when you don't have enough work to do, so that when you have too much to do, you can handle it. And so a calendar can help you manage your time so that if everything isn't due until 2 weeks from now, you're working on bits of it right now. And that is something that you will be able to see in these tools. So my calendar, for example, populates with my classes right out of Sims. I don't believe yours will, although it's possible that could ultimately be arranged, and that's something I will look into. But I use the exact invitation I get from Sims to teach you. I turn that into a Zoom meeting to generate these virtual lessons. And the last one is task management in Outlook. And you'll find this by going to your top left, click on the new items, and the fifth one down is a task. And a task, I've put in a task for every one of my groups using one of the ClassCharts homework tasks, because I wanted to show you how easy it is to do. And so this is what I did. I went to ClassCharts, I copied the assignment, and then I opened up task, and I just pasted it right into here, and then filled out the time when it was due and who owes it. That is how simple it is to convert anything that you're given into a task that you can then manage along with your time and your communications. Okay, next tool is FOLDR. Now, FOLDR is exactly what you see when you're in school. It is your school work file. It is so essential that all of your school records are kept in FOLDR, so that if anything happens that causes assessment events like an exam not to take place, or if anything happens at all, like the current situation, all of your work is in one place, and it can be utilized to your benefit. So it's really, really important. Now, to get into FOLDR, you just type in folder.hasla.org.uk into your address bar, and it will automatically pop up this window right here. Now, before you even start working with FOLDR, make sure you're signed on to Outlook. In fact, my advice with Outlook is think of Outlook as showing up to school, you sign on, and then leaving school at the end of the day, you sign off. And you should be on Outlook the entire day. And it's really important that you are signed on to Microsoft 365 Online, Outlook being a part of that, before you start opening documents. And probably about half of the issues I had were people that were trying to open documents from FOLDR without being signed on to Microsoft 365. And that causes a problem because almost all of the documents are done in some software that you need licenses to. And signing on to Microsoft 365 takes care of that license need. Okay, so it's very important that you do that. Now, if you don't have desktop licenses at home, if you don't have your own version of Word and PowerPoint and Excel, my advice to you is this: make sure before you open a document that it is where you want it to finish. Because if you're working with Microsoft Online, which you will be, one of the challenges with it is how to move your documents as you save them, or how to save them to a different place. So my advice is make sure that if you've got work that's in a particular location, that you move it to the location you want it saved to when you've completed it. Just makes life a whole lot easier. You will find your work under the My Documents area. So all of your work is under My Documents when you sign on to Folder. And if you need to get a template from the student drive and move it over to My Documents, it's My Files, TSLA Student Drive, Fox, your year, business, lessons, and then the particular unit you're looking for the template on. Okay, what a lot of people do, which would make it easier, is if you copy all of the items from lessons and you copy those over to a folder you've entitled Lessons under My Documents, then you have all of the templates under My Documents. It's very easy to grab them. You don't have to remember exactly how to get to the place where they're stored. If that makes sense. So, Microsoft 365 Online. So the first thing you do is you're signed into Microsoft 365. And there are 3 different types of documents, each of which has a symbol on Microsoft 365. Word is the most commonly used one in this course, and that is for any writing I'm having you do. I would expect you to do that in Word. Okay, so the templates are all stored in Word. So we'll be using Word as the example. PowerPoint is for presentations, and Excel is for spreadsheets. And we might get into a few of those right at the tail end of the course. But this is, Word is primarily what you'll be using. So the next thing you do is click on Word to make sure you have Word open. It may work without doing this, it may not, but this is almost surefire way to get it to work. If you click on Word first, then you go to the Word document in folder that should be in My Documents, and you open it from the same location you want it saved to, okay? So you will be, when you click on it, you will be given 2 options. Do you wish to download it, or do you wish to edit with Microsoft Office? You do not wish to download, and I'll tell you why. If you download, you are downloading to the device you are on now, and you're going to create the issue of how you get it uploaded again into your school files when you're finished. All you need to do is edit with Microsoft Office. Okay, so you click on that. Now, if the device you are working on has software already, as mine does, I wanted to see what you would see, or I wanted to see what you are seeing. You would get a little note right here that says Open Word Desktop. Now, I tried to stay online with my tools. So I tried to say no, etc., etc., etc. I couldn't trick it into ignoring the fact that I had desktop licenses. So if you are on a machine that has licenses already, you will be forced to use those licenses most likely, and that's okay because I've written these directions for whether you have Microsoft 365 Online or whether you have Microsoft 365 Desktop, and you'll see that in a minute. So, how do you know whether it's online or desktop? Well, it looks slightly different, but not enough for me to know right away which one I was on, and I use them all the time and have for many years. So the simplest possible way is looking for the save function, because on desktop, there is one and you should use it. On online, you are saving as you go, keystroke by keystroke. So functions some quite differently. So I'm covering here the main differences as they should show up to you. There are some others for more advanced users. There are some features that desktop has that online doesn't have. But other than that, I think these are the main ones you'll come across. So the first is with the save function. Desktop, you must save. So if you see a save button, please use it. You can change file location by using save as function, and that allows you to easily save to a different location than you did the work. However, with online, that is much more tricky. So with online, the best practice is make sure you open up the document from My Documents, your school folder, where it ultimately should be. Open it up, don't download it, okay? Open it up from that location, don't download to your device, and then when it saves, it's automatically saving to that location. When I mark it, I'm automatically saving my marks to that location. So the second one is sending for marks. With the desktop version, you would need to attach that to an email. You could embed it. Someone actually even got creative and created their own SharePoint, very, very technically advanced. And then I corrected their desktop version on SharePoint. I'm not going to go into that because that is quite involved. But what I'm generally saying is for most of us, if you work from the desktop version, you're going to attach it to an email, and I'll take you through how to do that. For the online version, you just simply send a link, and this is how you do it. This is how simple it is. And thank you so much, Initials AG, for pointing this out to me. That is who is responsible for this getting in the presentation. So sending for marking, select home and then send link. It will then prompt you for an email address. Start typing in my email address. It should automatically populate after you've sent me one item. You then, after you've got the right person, you then type a little note. You might have more to put about a particular question you struggled with or something else, and then click on send once it looks the way you want it to go. It then sends me a link. I get onto it. I make my corrections using something called the review function, so you can see what I changed, added, or corrected. And that is all saved real time to your school folder if that's where it originated from. So it's a very effective way to get all of the information in one place. Now, if you are using the desktop version, you'll attach to an email and you open a new email, you start typing my email address and it should populate. For the subject of the email, my recommendation from a business standpoint is subject should always reflect content. And the important point of the content here is the attachment. So your subject should probably be worksheet 23, if that's what it is. And then you click on attach file and it will show you where attach file is. Most recent work should display first, so it should be really easy to attach it. If you've just worked on it, it will be right there. If your work doesn't appear for whatever reason, you use the browser function at the bottom, and then you browse for the correct document. Then make sure the correct document is attached first, and that anything you wanted to say in the body of the email is how you wanted it to be, and make sure it's going to the right person, and then click send, and that's it. So again, I thought that would be of value. Even if you're using online, there's a possibility you'll need to attach something to an email at some point. I have put my marking grid up there just as a reminder. I reward for completeness and for making an attempt. If you turn in a complete worksheet to me, even if it's all wrong, it's a D. Okay, just thank you for participating in the learning experience fully, it's a D. And then, but if you don't turn in any work, it's a U. And then if you turn in something that's half finished, it's going to be somewhere from E to G. If it's complete and some answers are correct, some answers are not, it's C. If it's complete and there's one incorrect answer or 2+ in a longer worksheet, it's a B. If the document is complete and all answers are correct, it's an A, unless it's offset by outstanding effort in another area, in which case you might get one wrong, but I might give you extra credit in another area, it would still be an A. If you stayed on topic but went above and beyond, in other words, you not only answered the question, but with that topic in mind, you gave additional information that was valuable to your learning, that is an A star. iAchieve, most of you have access to iAchieve. iAchieve is our exam board. Our exam board is NCFE. It is the NCFE's, the NCFE has verified that iAchieve has all of the information, all of the content information in it that you are responsible for. So I teach from it a lot, and I ask you to use it a lot just simply because it has that level of stamp by the exam board. So your username is your login without your email address, rather, without the @students.hasla.org.uk. So it's just first initial dot last name dot year, and then your password. And the password is whatever you set it to in school when you opened it up. Now, if you've forgotten your password, the great news about iAchieve is you can reset your own password as long as you have your school email, and Outlook, of course, is open. You can reset your own password. So you can click forgot password, you'll be getting another one, and then you can reset it to what is easiest to remember. The only time that you should need me for iAchieve is if you get this green box right here. This green box means that either I've not set you up, or there is a mismatch between the way you are spelling your name and the way I recorded it. And this can happen very easily with people that have punctuation in their last name, for example, because I can't use that punctuation for your username. So in that particular case, where you see this green box, please contact me right away. But for all other things, including a password reset, you should be self-sufficient on iAchieve. And obviously, if that's not the case, let me know. Now, when you're in iAchieve, all of the material is summarized by unit and then by session, and then you click on the individual session for the content, and the content is in pages. So for example, the next material we will move on to for my year 10s, we will be asking the question, who are our potential customers and how do we find that out? And in that particular situation, it is session 3. You click on that of unit 1, session 3, and it's page 1. And that's how you navigate your way through iAchieve. Now, for business classes only, the NCFE worksheets, the worksheets that we do, the coursework I ask you to turn in to me, does not correspond with the iAchieve sessions. So here I've got the worksheet numbers and the corresponding session that they apply to. So everyone should now have finished up through worksheet 26, which is session 2. We're about to start session 3, which is worksheets 27 to 31. So that will help you to work out where you are with the worksheets based on where we are with iAchieve. The next tool is one that I don't currently use. I have one test assignment in there to test it out. But it's something that science uses very, very heavily and with great reviews. And it's called Showbie. And I want you to think of Showbie as sort of our virtual teaching assistant. I can even ask Showbie apparently to mark papers for me if I want to. So we'll see how that goes. With business, that could be a challenge. But certainly, if I give a multiple choice quiz, Showbie should be able to mark that quiz. So you sign up for Showbie. Would like you to do this now if you haven't already for other classes. You just sign up at www.showbie.com. Now, if you've already signed up, sign on to Showbie, and your code to add business studies to your list of classes is this one. Okay, so if you type in this code, you will get access to the business classes. Now, for all of the others, this is what Showbie looks like. Type www.showbie.com into your browser. It will pull up a sign-on screen. If you've never signed on to Showbie before, there is a small box towards the bottom that you need to hit. So if you've not signed in before, click there. You will then be asked to state that if you're a teacher, a student, or a parent. So click on student. You would then fill in a brief piece of sign-up information, and use your, if you wouldn't mind, use your school email if you can, just so that you keep all of your school stuff onto that email. It will help to separate it out. And then you enter this class code, which is the same class code that I showed on the first page, and hit join class. And then I put watch the two videos on our education, our future, our business, and tell me if you're going to take the pledge from the first video, the one about opening your the business of your education at home. And then give me a tools check on all 7 of these tools. And I give you an example of what that would look like. You can send that back either on email or through Showbie to me, and just let me know which of these tools you have, which ones you're still struggling with, so I can look to help you with any challenges that you might be having. Again, tools implementation isn't necessarily always easy for an office-based business, but it is ultimately essential. So we keep persevering at it until we've got it done. And lastly, your virtual classroom, which is currently pre-recorded through Zoom. The software that I'm recording this in is Zoom. Ultimately, Zoom will become a virtual classroom. So we could actually do this live when classes are supposed to be happening wherever you are. So ultimately, you will get an email in your school email address. It will be an invitation. When you click accept, this meeting will go onto your calendar, and you can set reminders for it, etc. So it will be on your calendar to help you manage your time. Now, ultimately, there will be some live classes, but either way, whether they're live or pre-recorded, there will always ultimately be a recording of them. And so the recording of the Zoom class is placed onto YouTube. And if you miss a class for whatever reason, you are responsible to catch up on that missed class on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's called the St. Leonard's Academy Means Business. And you click on this link that I have right here to get to it, or you can go on YouTube, just type in the St. Leonard's Academy Means Business, and it will pop up. And if you look under playlists, you will see every class has its own playlist. So I divide up what content one class should look at versus what content another class should look at based on the particular playlist that's listed there. So I hope that helps you to get set up in your business of your future, which is your education, from wherever you are. If you are struggling in any way to do that, let me know. Let me help you. And I look forward to seeing all of you back in the building when we meet again very, very soon. Thanks so much. Bye now.